Hello, we've got some lovely weather across much of southern Africa at the moment. Largely clear skies, a little bit of a shower cloud up towards the northeast of South Africa and more especially, I suspect, down towards the far south, around the Southern Cape, the Western Cape, as we go on through the next couple of days. Cape Town, 21 Celsius. Beautiful sunshine here for Friday, but maybe just seeing one or two showers creeping in, pegging those temperatures back as we go on into Saturday. North of that, it's looking good. It's looking settled. Joburg at 29 Celsius, 31 there in Harare. Might see one or two showers into Madagascar, but essentially largely fine and dry. Plenty of showers, meanwhile, across central Africa. The big clutch of storms there over towards the Red Sea. Either side of the Red Sea could see some rain. Showers there right across into the heart of Africa, into the Gulf of Guinea. Southern Nigeria, again, seeing some big downpours. We've seen some rather heavy showers pushing a little further westwards too. And that will be the case over the next couple of days. So no significant change here. More heavy showers in and around the region. Still a few showers there, you notice, up into southern parts of Mauritania and into Mali. Could see some wet weather too, just making its way across the northern parts of Morocco, spilling across into a good part of northern Algeria. Some really heavy downpours coming in here. That will lead to some flash flooding, easing further eastwards by the time we come to Saturday.
In this program, we focus on the issues that are making the headlines. We find the people with in-depth knowledge of the issues. It's an open forum where we can bring together all sides of an argument. There are just so many different opinions on any given subject. Inside Story, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Hello again, a reminder of the top stories here on Al Jazeera. NATO has described Russia's military involvement in the war in Syria as a troubling escalation as members gathered in Brussels to discuss the conflict. In the last few minutes, we've heard that Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has spoken on the telephone to US Secretary of State John Kerry. They've discussed the situation in Syria and coordination in their fight against ISIL in the country. Israeli forces have shot dead a Palestinian during clashes in East Jerusalem. It comes during heightened tension across areas, also including the occupied West Bank and Tel Aviv, after a series of stabbings and riots. And FIFA provisionally suspends its President Sepp Blatter, Vice President Michel Platini and Secretary General Jérôme Valcke for 90 days over corruption allegations. The Saudi-led coalition in Yemen is being accused of bombing another wedding. Witnesses say at least 13 people were killed and 38 were injured in the attack on a rebel-held town in Damaa province. This is the second such attack in recent weeks. Riyadh denies bombing a wedding near the city of Mocha in September. More than 130 people were killed in that attack. Well, Yemen was already a poor country when the war began, and now it's being pushed to the brink of human catastrophe, especially the health sector, which is barely able to cope as growing numbers of injured people fill hospital wards. Hashim Al-Habara reports.
She was told that it was too late and that her daughter didn't survive her injuries. We hear her say, "May God avenge those who killed my daughter." The woman blames the hospital for poor medical care. Health facilities across Yemen are overwhelmed with a growing number of victims from the conflict. Many have been killed or injured in the military campaign that has entered its 7th month.
My father was injured in the airstrikes targeting our people. My father was coming down the stairways when the house was targeted. He suffers a head injury.
Thousands of people are stranded or have fled from their homes. In the capital Sana'a, where coalition forces led by Saudi Arabia have intensified their airstrikes, people are struggling. International aid agencies say Yemen is critically short of food, fuel and medicine.
There is no authority that controls the prices of fuel, cooking oil and flour. Each bakery imposes its own prices and we pay the price. bread has become very expensive.
Many hope the conflict will end soon, but the country's warring factions reject dialogue. And as the conflict drags on, millions of impoverished Yemenis face a difficult future. Hashim Al-Barra, Al Jazeera.
The medical charity Doctors Without Borders has withdrawn from Kunduz and is reassessing its entire Afghan operations after the US airstrike that killed 22 people at its hospital on Saturday. The battle for the northern city continues. Kaisa Zimi is there.
This is the main jail of Kunduz city, where 10 days ago over 600 prisoners escaped from after the big Taliban attack on Kunduz city. Now, this is an outskirts of Kunduz city. This road leads you to the center of Kunduz city. We just came back from there. Heavy fighting is still going on. Both sides are struggling to get control of the city. Afghan security forces saying that the reason that they are failed to get full control of the city because Taliban are hiding in a residential area and they are afraid if they go in the residential area and fight Taliban there, it might cause a heavy casualty. Now residents of Kunduz city are telling us that enough is enough. It's more than 10 days that they're living in this heavy fighting situation. They're running out of food, running out of water, no electricity, and any movement is almost impossible inside this city for them.
People have been destroyed. The government has to provide us with security. We can't survive anymore like this.
We used to work daily and make enough to survive. Now there is no work, we don't have anything to eat, and nobody cares about us.
They are asking both sides for a ceasefire so they can get out of their areas and go to some safe area.
Prosecutors have raided Volkswagen premises across Germany, including the car company's headquarters and factory in Wolfsburg. The move follows the revelations last month that VW had cheated emissions tests using special software in its best-selling diesel engines. Prosecutors say the raids are an attempt to identify the individuals responsible for the mass fraud. Meanwhile, the boss of Volkswagen's US operations has been facing a congressional committee in Washington, D.C. Michael Horn told politicians that it wasn't a corporate decision to cheat emissions. Instead, individuals were responsible. He also revealed when he first heard of the problems.
In the spring of 2014, when the West Virginia University study was published, I was told that there was a possible emissions non-compliance that could be remedied. I was informed that EPA regulations included various penalties for non-compliance with the emission standards, and also that the agency could conduct engineering tests on their own, which could include analysis on defeat devices or other auxiliary equipment.
EU ministers are meeting in Luxembourg to discuss Europe's ongoing refugee crisis. The European leaders are considering plans to deport hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers from Europe within weeks. More than 600,000 refugees have arrived on the continent this year as people flee poverty and conflict across the Middle East and North Africa. Well, about 8,000 refugees and migrants are entering Europe every day, according to UN estimates. More than half are from Syria. Let's look at the figures on the map. More than 428,000 people have arrived in Europe through Greece. Another 132,000 have entered through Italy. That's more than 500,000 people so far this year. And more than 3,000 have died trying to attempt the hazardous sea journey across the Mediterranean. Sonia Gallego sent this report from the European Council in Luxembourg.
Particular focus has been given to countries dealing on the front line with the refugee crisis in Europe, especially to Italy and Greece, which has been seeing hundreds of thousands of people turning up. What the EU now wants to do is to create hotspots in order to be able to sort out and identify genuine refugees from those who they say are economic migrants merely coming to Europe to seek better opportunities. Now, what the EU wants to do is to create a sort of strengthened Frontex, Europe's border force, in order for them to be able to have the powers to be able to relocate genuine refugees onto other countries. This has to be done at the same time with trying to get those economic migrants back to their host countries and working with the host countries to try and get them back as quickly as possible. Already in October, there are some 10 flights which are going to be deporting people, and also already there are a number of Eritreans which are going to be taken from Italy up to Sweden in that whole relocation system that is being set out here. Now, also some $600 million has been released to be able to provide countries that are hosting Syrian refugees with extra help as well as humanitarian assistance. It is a problem which has really been taking up so much of the attention, and Europe now, having been accused of having done too little for such a long time, now has to be seen to be doing something and dealing with the crisis that has been effectively turning up on its shores.
Opposition politicians in Kosovo have used whistles and tear gas to disrupt a session of parliament. It's the latest protest against the government's recent deal with Serbia, backed by the EU, which gives Kosovo's majority Serb population greater powers. Prime Minister Isa Mustafa had eggs thrown at him during a protest on Tuesday. Rwanda's Supreme Court says its constitution can be amended to allow President Paul Kagame to run again for office. Kagame's political opponents had filed a lawsuit seeking to block changes to the two-term limit. Paul Kagame was Rwanda's de facto leader after the 1994 genocide and has served as its president since 2000. The constitutional changes must still pass a referendum. The mayor of Rome is coming under increasing pressure to resign in the wake of a scandal over his expenses. Prosecutors are currently investigating Mayor Ignazio Marino's finances following allegations that he claimed family dinners under official business. Marino has promised to pay his entire City Hall credit card bill of more than $22,000, which includes uncontested legitimate expenses. Indonesia has agreed to accept international help to put out forest fires that are cloaking Southeast Asia in a giant smoke haze. Fires illegally started to clear land for plantations in Indonesia have shrouded Singapore, Malaysia and parts of Thailand in acrid smog for weeks. This NASA satellite image, taken late last month, gives you an idea of the sheer size of the haze cloud. It's having a devastating effect, grounding flights, closing schools and causing